Welcome to Frisella All Around the Yarn. My name is Juliana, and I am the host today at Frisella All Around the Yarn. I'm the Garden Center manager, so good to meet you, Ashley. I love doing this. I love working in the Garden Center and here at Frisella. And just a little bit about me. This has always been sort of my just my passion. I haven't always done it my whole life. But later in life, I got the chance to do it. And now I don't even feel like I work any day. So I'm pretty excited about that. Farming is a kind of a background in my family. I come from Central Illinois, from a whole family of farmers. So I know a little bit about farming. That's about it. So Ashley, you're Ashley McCarty, and you're from
Kirksville, actually. I'm up in Northeast Missouri in Kirksville, representing as executive director of Missouri Farmers Cares. So we cover the entire state, representing farmers, ranchers, and agribusiness. But I headquarter here in the North Star of Missouri, just outside of Kirksville on my Century family farm.
Oh, nice. That's really cool.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
It rooted us back to a place that's otherwise cold. It's about the coldest place in the state. But we have really deep roots here. So we're running cattle and raising 3 boys on my Century family farm that our family worked very hard to keep in the family. So pretty blessed to be able to do that.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah, a lot of farmers get to the point where, just owning your own land's just tough. And maybe you're still farming, but you're farming rental land,
Yes.
And so to own your own land, she should be very proud of that, keeping it in your family. So you guys raise cattle. What else do you raise?
Yes. So we are primarily just a cow-calf operation. We have about 100 mama cows in Northeast Missouri that graze these hills. And so they're commercial cows, so not purebred, primarily Red Angus, but that and boys are the primary things we raise. I guess we do have some horses. We are very ranchy in our approach to the cattle industry. We have boys that ride and rope and rodeo. And so that's what we're often doing on our spare time, if you could call it that, off the farm, is that we're traveling the state and Iowa as well, doing junior high school rodeo with the boys. And we've got calves on the ground right now. Our calves were born in the fall. We all fall calf. They are still nursing and will wean probably about May as the mud lessens in this part of the state and the weather turns nice. We'll be weaning, and those cattle will be sold here locally and head probably somewhere else in the state to continue grazing before they're put on feed to turn into high quality steaks, roasts, burgers, etc.
Nice.
Yes.
How much cattle farming is there in Missouri?
There is a lot. Missouri goes back and forth with the state of Oklahoma. So we are either the number 2 cow-calf state in the nation or the number 3 cow-calf state in the nation.
Oh, wow.
We are a nexus of high quality genetics. We've got a great cow herd. And by the way, number 1 state in the nation for the beef industry is Texas. Pretty hard to compete with the landmass that Texas offers, right? And so the beef industry in Missouri offers a lot of economic activity. There are over 60,000 cattlemen in the state. And as you mentioned before, it's often a lot of us work off-farm jobs. And so the cattle industry, like other industries, but the cattle industry in particular is often, we have heritage land that we've either inherited from a family or we went out and rented. And it's often a after-farm gig. So we work our full-time gigs, both my husband and I, and then spend the evenings right about 4 p.m. starts our second job. And so we start choring until dark. So we're always happy for daylight savings time to have come and given us long days so that we're not choring by headlight.
Exactly. I know I have a cousin that harvests by light all the time, every year when the time changes and harvest comes, and they're working out in the fields till 10:30, 11 at night and back at it at 5 a.m.
Absolutely.
So, it's a tremendous job, and I can't give enough credit to farmers who keep us going, and that's important. And I think more farming's in the news lately just because of costs of things, prices of things, tell me a little bit about agri education and Missouri farming and Missouri cares and all that kind of
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yes. So I lead an organization called Missouri Farmers Care. We represent the breadth and depth of Missouri agriculture. So as part of our organization, we have everyone from the beef producers and the pork producers to the corn and soybean producers to ag teachers and levee and drainage districts and pet breeders and everywhere in between are the over 40 members of Missouri Farmers Care. And we've come together in order to collaborate. We saw that individually, we weren't strong enough, that we needed to work together, especially on issues, as you mentioned, like ag education, like a drive to feed kids. And so agriculture is a huge industry with $93.7 billion in economic contribution across the state in 2021 alone. And so working together is absolutely necessary to advance the industry, to educate about the industry and share what we're doing on the farm, to tell our story well. And part of that starts in classrooms. So we have a program called Ag Education on the Move. It's offered statewide. This last semester, we had over 6,000 students that got 10 weeks of agricultural education. Yes. So they get 10 weeks of learning about nutrition, stewardship, your major commodities in the state. And then they get to follow up with doing fun things like making their own butter, baking their own bread and seeing yeast at work with the wheat unit, germinating soybeans to see with the soybean unit and seeing how a seed turns into a plant. Let's see, what else do? They do a fun soils unit. And so those sort of take home activities, hands-on activities really apply the state standards that we're trying to meet in reading and math and science, while big picture goal, connecting them with the agriculture that's around them. Because whether you're in Atchison County or St. Charles County, right? Exactly. Agriculture is absolutely all around you and has an impact on your everyday life. So that's our goal in that program, is to connect the dots so that those third graders and fourth graders that are getting this education are really just our future consumers a few years down the road. And it behooves them to, know all the chains and the links in their food supply system. So that's our goal. And to share that farmers care for our animals, we care for the land, and we care for future generations. I've already told you I have a over 100-year heritage. I'm not alone in that. I'm not unique in that, right? Just like you said, we all somewhere go back to the farm. And that's exactly what we want to connect, that we have that long-term view and long-term investment in leaving things better than we found them, always continuing to improve our production practices so that we can get more using less.
Absolutely. What I'm excited about is just the education, because I'd like to see more kids understand that there's a future in this industry, in horticulture, agriculture, anything that we do. And, there's so many avenues that they can go to. It doesn't need to be always college based, but certainly some college might be in this case. But again, we could talk about playing in the dirt here. We love it. We love getting our hands dirty and, just having fun and watching things grow, things, even in our business, I think what we do is here at the nursery is a work of art at times, besides getting, hey, you can have that kind of side of a business or that kind of side of a future life that you can do in this industry. And I think it's great. And if you want to be a cowboy on a farm and ranch, we can do that in Missouri too. You don't have to go to Texas or California. You can do
Absolutely. Career awareness and career education is so very important. So as you said, I just pulled up, knowing we were visiting, I pulled up the economic impact numbers for St. Charles County, right? If you drive around St. Charles, you may think there's a lot of urban, suburban areas in St. Charles, but St. Charles is also a breadbasket with some of the richest alluvial river bottom soils to be found in our state and in our nation. And so agriculture, food, forestry, and related industries last year in 2021 contributed $536 million in value added in St. Charles County alone. That's a lot, with $1 billion of output from food processing, ag chemicals and fertilizer, forestry. And that is a huge economic impact, not to mention the 8,750 jobs that are supported by agriculture. And in St. Charles County, we know that looks like landscaping, that looks like turf grass management, that looks like orchards, and it also looks like corn and soybean production and other activities that support corn and soybean and livestock production. St. Charles County has a lot of other ag categories, which I would guess is the impact of high value, added activities like you guys do in horticulture and landscaping. And so that career awareness of just the opportunities that abound around us. And we use St. Charles as an example, but in the surrounding counties, the same model would apply, right? That there are so many opportunities that abound around us to be able to get engaged, play in the dirt, have a great life, and contribute to the agricultural industry, that we just want not only students, but potential workforce employees to know all those potential, all the joy that comes with working in the dirt, playing in the dirt, and working with agriculture can't be surpassed, in my opinion. And so there's a lot of that where you are.
No. What are some concerns in the farming industry right now, as far as what's going on, globally, and how does it affect you guys?
Such a great question. So many concerns. And we were all a little unsettled, right? There's a lot of geopolitical things that are going on that impact everything and every part of the supply chain. That impact is felt pretty strongly on the farm. So fuel prices, we're getting ready to plant. And again, I said, we're always doing more with less. We're always more efficient, but there's still input costs. And those input costs have gone up exponentially over the last year. So not only fuel and diesel prices are going to make a real impact in the bottom lines this spring as producers are trying to get crops in the ground. But the fertilizer that also supports that growth, so that we are the breadbasket of the world, essentially, are often sourced from Ukraine and Russia and the Middle East. And also take a lot of transportation. So agriculture is certainly worried about that. Also global markets, when there's glitches in global interactions, that impacts our global markets. So 1 in 2 rows of corn and 1 in 3 rows of soybeans leaves this country and often heads down past St. Charles, either from the Missouri River or the Mississippi River, heads out to our ports to support everything from raising of water buffaloes in Egypt to a burgeoning poultry industry in Iraq to China and South America and Mexico. And so geopolitical relationships matter a lot in agriculture. A lot of people are depending on the productivity of American agriculture to feed and fuel their families. And that makes a huge difference. And then besides those big ones that are all out of our control, there's always weather. As you guys know,
God love it.
We live every day. There's always cold springs, hot summers, early frosts, whatever it may be.
I've become a junior meteorologist, I think.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Exactly. And so those things impact ag a lot too. I heard a prediction, don't know, from someone who makes his living as a meteorologist, that it was going to be a cool, wet spring and a hot drier summer. So that probably works pretty well in your industry, not as well if you're trying to get corn and soybeans in the ground or wheat or whatever it may be. And so there may be some frustrated farmers in the river bottoms around your area this spring. We'll hope that there's some windows for planting anyway.
Right.
And so the weather and markets are always, and input costs are really always of top concern. The freedom to operate and be able to make decisions on the farm that are best for the farm and the land is also important. But there's just a lot of pressures that cause, just like in the rest of our lives, uncertainty as we head into this year.
Oh yeah. It's been a wild ride already.
It has.
It really has. 2022 has been a crazy year, but I think I'm optimistic for it. I think hey, if we're going to have a little wet spring, dry summer, at least in my industry, I'll be okay. But again, like you said, frustrated farmers, and that's it. We know that no 2 days are alike in this industry.
Nope.
And you just kind of roll with the punches, and there we go. Um, what else with Missouri Cares, Missouri Farmers Cares? What other things do you go out in the community and do, and how are you related into the community?
Great question. So one of our other, besides Ag Education on the Move, which we'd love to get into more St. Louis metro area schools, by the way, another program of huge impact across the state is our Drive to Feed Kids. We partner with the food banks, the 6 food banks that service every county in Missouri, and raise resources and awareness. So awareness of the need. And the fact that despite that we are such a productive nation agriculturally, that does not mean there's equity in getting to the dinner plates, right? And to the cabinets.
Correct.
And any time you spend in a public school, for instance, you can see the need and you can see the impact on young learners, and that if you don't have your belly full, it's pretty hard to succeed. And so agriculture for the last several years has felt the need to stand in that gap and do what we can to make sure that the abundance of our farm fields is reflected in at least the adequacy on dinner tables around the state. So last year, just as an example, we came together, raised resources for over 2 million meals. Wow. And yes, so that was a big impact, but it had a lot of different pieces, and the pieces are probably as valuable as the whole total. 1 in 7 children across the state of Missouri are food insecure. That's a pretty stark number. And so we brought together in part kids helping kids. And so we had 700 FFA students come together for the last day of their summer at the Missouri State Fair. They packed 200,000 meals that day. And it came from across the state just to make a difference. And when you talk to those kids, their eyes are often opened, because our goal is with these big events, this is a local issue, right? This is always, it's local to each and every one of us. And so there's always opportunities to serve and make a difference at home. We're just planting that seed and building that awareness. And so there were also FFA chapters and 4-H chapters. So young leaders in agriculture that came together. We had a little mini grant program and matched $300. And with those $300, some of them in Audrain County, they processed poultry. In Wright County, they bought milk and distributed milk. In Boone County, they created a little food pantry out behind the school so that people could come there and meet their needs. And so the seeds planted there. And then pork producers and FFA exhibitors that show hogs also donated their hogs to go to food banks. Protein's the hardest item to find for a food bank. It's the most expensive often to procure. And they donated hundreds of thousands of pounds of pork in the last 2 years that made a real difference. So we have high quality, center of the plate protein for those food insecure families. And so we're always encouraged through that process that, we're not systemically solving the issue, but we are meeting the needs and filling the bellies. And we're always encouraged by the people that come together to really make a difference in their communities. Bayer Crop Science has been a big supporter of that, St. Louis area, but many others as well. Farm Bureau and FCS Financial and MFA Incorporated and so many others, farmers and ranchers and so many that come together to make that huge impact. So that's an important program to us. And that's an important difference that we make in our communities. One other that I'll talk about real quickly is, okay, sounds good, is our Leopold Conservation Award program. So we are Stewardship Matters, right? Conservation and stewardship matters. The vast majority of land in Missouri, well over 90%, is in the hands of private landowners. And it's upon us to make sure we have clean air, clean water, abundant wildlife, and farmers and ranchers take that responsibility seriously. Despite what may be portrayed in any national media, right? That we really do take that job seriously. And so we have a conservation award program named after Aldo Leopold, who was kind of the original ecologist and really talked about that there has to be a private or a land ethic between farmers, ranchers, and people who own land and the land that they care for. And so our award is a $10,000 cash prize to the top private land manager in the state. So from working farms and ranches, we recognize those that are just innovative in their practices, right? They're always pushing the envelope to see what they can do new or better, what they can adopt. And our first recipient said, we're often the topic of conversation down at the coffee shop, they're always scratching their heads going, what are those Lamberts up to now? And so it's those people that are really innovators and early adopters that we've recognized. Now we're in our 6th year. We're taking applications for that program through June. And
great.
Yeah, it's just ways, ecological impact, communications and leadership, and how people care for the land. So that's another exciting program that we think makes a real difference in advancing the conversations around our private land stewardship.
So do you have a website where we could get involved, or any of our listeners can get involved? And what is that?
Yes, absolutely. So our website is mofarmerscare.com. And there's information on everything that we do up there, from ag education to Leopold Conservation Award Program, the Drive to Feed Kids, and much more. And so we just encourage, there's a link to our podcast there. We encourage everybody to get involved. There's opportunities for individuals to become involved in any of these things that might really ignite their passion and encourage you to find out more. So, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for visiting with us today. We will put that link to your website on our podcast as well. But I just appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. And with 3 boys, I understand. I grew up as the oldest of 5, and I have 4 younger brothers. We're much older now, but I still feel like I have a huge family with boys. And I grew up not playing with Barbies. So it's kind of crazy. I did boy stuff. But now, and I got girls when I got older. So it all worked out.
That is
so anyway,
awesome. Yep.
I appreciate it. Please listen to us at Frisella All Around the Yard, where we talk about all kinds of horticulture opportunities on our podcast. And I just super appreciate you taking the time again out of your day. Please follow us, like and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I think we've got some TikTok videos going too. So all on the social media platforms. And I just appreciate everything that you do with Missouri Farmers Care. And it's just what a great concept, and everything you do. And good luck, because I hope to eat a steak soon from one of your cattle. So that would be great. That would be awesome. Yeah, it is awesome. I really do. Well, have a wonderful day. Again, thanks for visiting with me, and come and visit us again at Frisella All Around the Yard. Thanks,
we'll
Ashley.
Make sure the next time we're in the area to do so. And thanks for your
come visit us.
To your segment of agriculture as well.
Cool. Thank you very much. All right. Take care.
You too.
All right.